I am 110 years old, and I have watched the world rise, fall, and rise again. I have seen people chase money, power, and youth, only to lose themselves along the way. Many ask me how I live this long, but few are ready to hear the real answer. What kept me alive was never sold, never advertised, and never promised happiness. I am 110 years old today, and saying that number out loud still feels strange to me. When I was young, living past 70 already felt like a miracle. Yet here I am, breathing slowly, watching another sunrise. I have lived through times of hunger, times of war, and times of rapid change where the world moved faster than my thoughts. I watched inventions appear that I never imagined as a child, and I watched traditions disappear quietly without anyone noticing. Age does not arrive suddenly. It comes one ordinary day at a time, and one morning you realize you have outlived almost everyone you once knew. Being this old is not about pride or strength, but about acceptance. I no longer fight time because time always wins. Instead, I listen to my body, my breath, and my memories. Every wrinkle on my face carries a lesson. Every scar carries a story, and every slow step reminds me that life is not meant to be rushed. People think living long means defeating death, but that is not true. Living long means making peace with life itself. I am still here not because I tried to be extraordinary, but because I learned how to live quietly, honestly, and patiently, even when life tested me without mercy. I was born into a world where life moved slowly and nothing was guaranteed. My childhood was not filled with comfort, but it was filled with lessons that stayed with me longer than any possession ever could. We did not have excess food, and we did not waste what little we had. Every meal was respected, every piece of bread was shared, and hunger taught us discipline before anyone ever spoke about it. I walked long distances every day, not for exercise, but because walking was the only way to reach school, fields, or neighbors. My body grew strong without me realizing it, shaped by routine and necessity rather than intention. There was no constant noise, no endless distractions, and no pressure to compare myself to others. I learned early that envy brings no benefit, because everyone carried their own quiet struggles. My parents taught me through actions, not words, that patience keeps a person alive longer than anger. When something broke, we repaired it instead of replacing it. And when something was lost, we accepted it instead of chasing after it endlessly. That simple way of living trained my mind to remain calm and my body to remain balanced. I believe my long life began there, not in medicine or luck, but in a childhood where simplicity ruled everything. When the body is not constantly overloaded and the mind is not constantly worried, both learn how to endure. Those early years planted habits that protected me for more than a century, even when the world around me changed beyond recognition. As I grew older, life did not become gentler, and it did not reward me simply for surviving childhood. Work arrived early in my life, and responsibility followed immediately after. I labored under the sun, in the rain, and through exhaustion, not because I wanted to prove anything, but because survival demanded effort every single day. There were moments when my body felt weak and my spirit felt smaller than the problems in front of me. I failed more times than I can remember, and each failure taught me humility rather than bitterness. I learned that hardship is not an enemy, but a teacher that tests whether you can remain steady when comfort disappears. Many people believe stress is unavoidable, yet much of it comes from resisting reality. I accepted that life would not always go my way, and that acceptance saved my heart and my mind from constant tension. When work was heavy, I rested without guilt. When progress was slow, I remained patient without complaint. I did not measure my worth by success or wealth because those things rise and fall without warning. Instead, I focused on finishing each day with honesty, knowing I had done what I could with the strength I had. Living through difficulty without resentment trained my body to endure pressure and my mind to stay calm under weight. I believe this calm endurance, developed over decades of hard living, protected my health more than any remedy ever could. Life never promised ease, but it rewarded steadiness, and that steadiness carried me forward year after year. Loss entered my life quietly at first, then returned again and again as the years passed. I lost parents, friends, and the person I once believed I would grow old beside forever. Each loss felt different, yet each one left a similar emptiness that words could never fully describe. When you are young, you believe time will wait for everyone you love, but age teaches you that nothing stays simply because you wish it to. Grief tested me more deeply than hunger or hard work ever did, because sorrow settles in the chest and refuses to leave on its own. I cried when I needed to, and I allowed myself to feel pain instead of hiding from it. What saved me was not strength, but acceptance. I understood that holding on to sorrow too tightly would only poison the days I still had left. Many people believe grief must be conquered, but I learned it must be carried gently. I continued my routines even when my heart felt heavy, because structure gives the body something steady when emotions are unstable. Over time, pain softened into memory, and memory transformed into gratitude for having loved it all. Loss taught me how fragile life truly is, and that understanding made me more careful with my energy, my emotions, and my health. I believe many lives shorten not from disease, but from hearts burdened with unresolved grief. By learning to release sorrow slowly and respectfully, I protected my spirit and allowed my body to continue forward, one quiet day at a time. As the years passed and my body grew slower, I began to understand that the greatest danger to a long life is not age, but an unsettled mind. I watched many people younger than me grow old too quickly because they carried anger, worry, and regret every single day. A restless mind keeps the heart tense, the breath shallow, and the body exhausted even when it is at rest. I made a quiet decision long ago to avoid unnecessary conflict and to release anger as quickly as possible. When something upset me, I asked myself whether it would still matter tomorrow, and most of the time the answer was no. Learning to let go did not make me weak, it made me lighter. I did not argue to prove I was right, and I did not hold grudges to protect my pride. Pride demands energy, and energy is precious. I learned to sleep with a clear heart because peaceful sleep heals more than medicine ever could. Each night I allowed my thoughts to slow down before closing my eyes, trusting that tomorrow would arrive whether I worried or not. Over decades, this habit protected my nerves and steadied my blood, keeping my body from living in constant tension. Calmness became my daily practice, not something I searched for during crises. I believe the steady calm preserved my strength far more than strength itself, because a quiet mind allows the body to repair, endure, and continue without resistance. One of the most important lessons I learned over 110 years is that excess slowly weakens the body and disturbs the mind. I never lived chasing more than I needed, and that choice protected me in ways I only understand now. I ate when I was hungry and stopped before I was full, not because of discipline, but because my body felt lighter that way. Heavy eating makes the body work too hard, and a body that is constantly overloaded ages faster than it should. I did not search for rich flavors or complicated meals. Simple food kept my digestion calm and my energy steady. The same principle applied to everything else in my life. I owned few possessions, and because of that I had little to worry about losing. I did not measure success by how much I gathered, but by how little I truly needed to feel content. Wanting less freed my mind from constant comparison and my body from constant pressure. Many people exhaust themselves chasing comfort, yet forget that comfort can become a burden when it has no limits. Living with enough allowed me to rest deeply, move freely, and breathe without anxiety. Over time, moderation became natural, not forced, and my body responded with endurance rather than resistance. I believe long life is not created by adding more to yourself, but by removing what weighs you down. By choosing simplicity again and again, I allowed my strength to last far beyond what I ever expected. My body survived for this long not because it was powerful, but because it was never abandoned. I learned early that the body weakens fastest when it is treated as something fragile. Even when my strength declined, I continued to move in small and respectful ways. Movement does not mean strain or speed. It means reminding the body that it is still needed. I walked slowly, stretched gently, and used my muscles every day, even when they felt stiff or tired. Remaining still for too long makes the body forget its purpose, and once it forgets, it begins to fail. I never waited to feel motivated because motivation fades, but routine remains. Each movement kept my blood flowing and my joints alive, preventing my body from sinking into neglect. I listened carefully to my limits and stopped before pain turned into damage. Many people push themselves too hard when they are young and stop moving completely when they grow older. I chose the opposite path, moving carefully and consistently rather than forcefully. This balance preserved my balance, both physical and mental. Movement also cleared my thoughts because a body in motion releases tension without effort. Over decades, this simple habit protected my heart, strengthened my lungs, and kept my posture upright even as time bent my back. I believe stillness without purpose shortens life, while gentle movement extends it quietly and faithfully. As I grew older, I realized that a long life is shaped not only by what you do, but also by what you deliberately avoid. I avoided envy because comparing my life to others only created unnecessary pain. Every person carries struggles that are not visible, and measuring yourself against appearances leads the mind into constant dissatisfaction. I avoided holding grudges because resentment is a quiet poison that damages the body long before it affects the person you are angry with. Anger tightens the chest, hardens the breath, and keeps the heart restless, even during moments meant for rest. I also avoided rushing through life, because haste creates mistakes, and mistakes create stress. Stress slowly drains strength without announcing itself. I did not chase every opportunity or argument that crossed my path, because not everything deserves your energy. Energy is limited, and wasting it shortens endurance over time. I avoided living for approval because seeking validation from others places your peace in their hands. Instead, I focused on living in a way that allowed me to sleep peacefully at night. I avoided excess noise, excess food, and excess worry, all of which cloud the mind and weaken the body. Avoidance is not fear, it is wisdom earned through observation. Over many decades, I watched people exhaust themselves emotionally long before their bodies failed. By choosing carefully where to place my attention and where to withdraw it, I protected my inner balance. I believe a long life depends on learning when to step forward and when to step away. allowing both the body and the mind to recover and remain steady through time. If I could speak directly to those who are still young and strong, I would tell them that time is not something you defeat, but something you learn to walk beside. Many people live as if they are being chased, rushing through days without noticing how quickly their energy disappears. Speed creates the illusion of progress, yet it often leads the body into exhaustion and the mind into confusion. I learned that living slowly does not mean falling behind. It means arriving fully present in each moment. Do not trade your health for achievements that will not keep you warm at night. Work with dedication, but rest without guilt. The body remembers how you treat it, even when you pretend not to notice the damage. Learn to listen when your breath shortens and your sleep becomes shallow, because those are warnings spoken quietly. Choose patience over pressure and consistency over intensity, because intensity burns quickly while consistency endures. Protect your relationships, because loneliness weighs heavier on the heart than physical labor ever could. Eat with awareness, move with care, and speak with kindness, especially to yourself. Do not let anger become a daily companion, because it will age you faster than time itself. Remember that life is not a competition measured by speed or possessions. It is a long journey measured by balance, calm, and endurance. If you wish to live long, learn to live gently, because a gentle life allows both the body and the spirit to remain strong far longer than force ever could. Now, at 110 years old, I no longer wake up making plans far into the future. I wake up simply grateful that I am still here, still breathing, still able to witness another ordinary day. Long life does not give you all the answers, but it gives you clarity about what truly matters. I understand now that living long was never my goal. Living honestly was. Every year added to my age came as a result of small choices repeated patiently, not from grand decisions or sudden changes. I did not search for immortality, and I never tried to escape aging. I allowed my body to change, my pace to slow, and my priorities to soften. Acceptance kept my heart light when my strength faded. I learned that fear shortens life more effectively than illness, because fear keeps the body tense and the mind restless. Peace, on the other hand, invites rest, and rest allows healing. If there is one truth I can leave behind, it is this: life lasts longer when you stop fighting it. When you live with gratitude instead of regret, calm instead of chaos, and enough instead of excess, time becomes a companion rather than an enemy. I do not know how many days remain for me, and that no longer troubles me. I have lived slowly, loved quietly, and endured patiently. That is not a secret sold to the world, but it is the reason I am still here today.